That's crazy. Wow, holy cow. All right, we are gonna start this video off by starting to tear this 2011 STI hatch down that I just bought, I think 3 days ago now. We got some major engine issues. You can see there's a little bit of coolant and oil on the ground. Last time I had the car up on the hoist, there was some coolant dripping out of the header, which usually means either a very blown head gasket or it put a hole in the block somewhere that's letting coolant into the cylinder and into the exhaust. So we're going to tear this down and find out what's going on with this thing. It is an IAG 900 long block. I believe it's got about 20,000 miles. This car made either 770 or 780 something wheel horsepower, aftermarket rear axles, and obviously all the good stuff to make that much power. And the plans with this thing, either put it back closer to stock and I'm going to keep it, or it'll still get put closer back to stock and put an engine in it and sell it. I don't really think I'm going to part the chassis out because it's a clean title STI hatch, and even if I pulled the wrap off, it is still nice underneath the wrap to my knowledge per the previous owner. So yeah, it wouldn't be one necessarily worth parting out. These cars are still worth, I don't know if it's quite worth 15, but somewhere up there, 15,000, 13 to 15,000, I would think you could sell something like this for closer to stock with or without the wrap. Let's get into tearing this thing apart. I'm going to try something new. Instead of just doing time lapses, I'm going to try and get different angles in the video and have it just be like little clips, trying to keep it a little more entertaining, trying to change up my little filming style I got going on. So let's give that a whirl. Later tonight, I'm going to be setting up these parts and a bunch of these parts up for sale. So this video will be a ways after that listing, but if you are seeing this video and maybe I still have some of this stuff, feel free to drop a comment, shoot me a message. Let's get rolling on this thing. Should be a fun time. Relax in there. How are you, miss? You're a dork. Arrgh. Looks like there's almost a hole in the manifold right there from the bolt on the blow-off valve. Right there. It was rubbing on the manifold. It looks like it almost put a hole in it. I mean, I don't know how much thicker it is, but that's a pretty good indentation. Never seen that before. cannot believe how light this is. That is crazy. Titanium. Other right. Now up like right there.
I'm good with directions.
Oh my word, way like. Oh! Feel it. Feel that now. This is gonna go. I'll pick this one up. Isn't that crazy? Is there two in there? I don't know. As you've seen, we got a bunch of parts pulled. Cannot explain how light this is. It's so weird. Same with the cat back. I mean, that's obviously a lot more metal, so it's not as weird feeling how light it is, but it's a lot lighter than this. Here's the carbon drive shaft. That's quite a bit lighter. Here's the DSS rear axles. I never realized how beefy these things look compared to a factory axle. They're quite a bit bigger. So I got still, like I said, a bunch of parts out here. Here's this cool looking titanium exhaust. Pretty sweet. Here is the engine with the IAG 900 tag right there. So I've got all that stuff out. I got the trans left to pull, and that's gonna be about it. Actually, I've got the trans and I've got this fuel line set up. It goes all the way to the tank. You have to figure out how difficult that's going to be to pull, and then any other remaining mods that I got to pull off this thing I'm going to do. And then tomorrow I'm going to take pictures of all this stuff and list it later this week. And I'm honestly not sure what the next project is. Definitely want to tear down that IAG 900 motor. I want to tear down this engine out of the black 2011 STI that I just parted out, and might, I don't know. I've got plenty of stuff to do, but I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with next. This Saturday, I'm going to get a car with my brother-in-law for him, hopefully. And so once we get that, we'll have that to tinker around with. I've got my brother's car to work on a little bit this week, so I got plenty of stuff to do. I'm going to pull the wheels off this car, put something else on it for now. If you didn't catch it in the beginning, like I said, I'm leaving this car whole because I think I'm going to end up fixing it. So we'll see. But I'm going to continue with the teardown. A video pulling the wheels off, pulling the trans out, and then maybe I'll video with all these parts set up. Might be kind of cool. And we will move on from there. I've got the engine out of the hatch here, and I've got to remove the header and pull the oil pan in order to sell. So we have to drain the oil. So I want to see, or get on camera I should say, what this oil might look like. I feel like it's gonna hit exactly right on there. So let me grab something to prop this up. All right, let's see if there's any chunks that are gonna come out. Don't see any chunks yet, but she's definitely metallic-y. Not super awful. You can definitely tell there's metal in there though. There was oil in the coolant. You can kind of see here in the coolant passage there's some oil in there. Sort of surprised there's no chunks. I think a rod broke, but I'm not 100% sure. That's what it sounds like to me. I gotta pop this header off and then we'll take the oil pan off and get a visual of what that's gonna look like. I'll for sure record that. Nice ETS header. I believe there was coolant in the header, so I'm also gonna see that here in a sec. We got some coolant where it shouldn't be. Oh boy. My mic died here, so now I'm just voicing over. So I didn't find any coolant in the header, and I'm removing the oil pan here, and I expected to find chunks of metal because I thought that there was a rod broken in this engine. Now I did find a lot of little pieces of metal in the oil, but no big chunks like I was expecting. Then I went to go remove the crank pulley, and there was some serious crank play back and forth, which is not good. And I've had it before, which was actually caused by a twin disc or a triple disc clutch pulling on the crankshaft. And that's why I originally thought was going on here as well, but later on we will find out that that's not what was happening, and we had some more major issues. The big old parts list is up. Now my next thing is I want to get this car out of here before the weekend for sure. So this transmission, this diff, axles, drive shaft are out of this black STI out there. The reason I am putting these ones back into this hatch is because the one that came out of the hatch over there is a built transmission, and I do not need that in this car. So the next steps I'm going to do is get this transmission bolted back up, get the diff in, get the axles in, the drive shaft, and then I feel comfortable rolling this thing out once the axles are all bolted in. And then at some point we will figure out what kind of engine setup we're going to do here. It obviously won't be all the high performance stuff that was on here. So that's my next task. After that, we're probably going to tear these down, but it's going to be a project videoing all this stuff before we put it away and then getting a list ready. So it's going to be kind of a few random things, but we'll start with this trans into the car. So we'll jump to that. We got some ugly wheels put on this thing, but transmission's in, front axle are in, everything's bolted up, drive shaft is in, differential, rear axles, all that stuff is bolted in there. I'm gonna put fluid in the diff and the trans. My mic died here again, but I'm gonna roll the vehicle out after putting some fluid in. I have to put this little under tray back on, and then these two engines I'm going to tear down, and we're gonna see what's wrong with both of them. One of them, the one out of the green hatch, was pretty catastrophic. All right, now I can finally tear this engine down. I didn't have the right 12-point socket. So let's get and tear this down the rest of the way and see if there's some sort of piston issue or something. I don't know why this thing made so much noise, but let's get these heads off of here. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see if we find anything interesting in here. Ooh, I see. Let's take a peek. There's the O-ring. I don't know if the pistons are supposed to rock that much. This one's really clean, which makes me think the head gasket was blown or something on this cylinder. I gotta get these studs out before I get the head gasket off, so let's do that. These head studs are way bigger than I'm used to. I'm used to the factory 11mm head studs. Holy cow. That's probably a smarter option. Definitely some nasty material right up there. Well, at least it's closed deck. That's a good thing. Definitely got those grooves for these O-rings. You can see they sit right there. I don't really see anywhere this head gasket is blown. Let's move to the other side, see if we can find anything over there. Making a mess. All right, let's take this side apart. That looks good. No major scoring so far. That looks good. No scoring at all, almost. Maybe a baby amount. All the cams, maybe this is normal, I don't know. Look a little rough, but maybe that's normal. They all look like that. Still not seeing anything crazy. Somewhere, oil and coolant mix though, for sure. Same thing, I don't see evidence of a blown head gasket necessarily, in the sense of looking on the gasket. Interesting. I'm gonna turn this thing over. It should turn over smooth as it did before. I think the crank is broke. It is. The crank is snapped in half. That's what all that noise was. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Oh, but it still turns over. That's crazy. Let's check this out. I can't believe I didn't see this before. Let's see. Can you see it on camera? Look at that. Broken crank. Holy cow. That's why that's crazy. Yep, there's the other side. Wow. You can see, let's see. Yeah, you can't see too well. I'll try and see if we can view in and see that down there. Look at that. Right down in there. Now I kind of want to take this the rest of the way apart and look at it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that directly right now. I got some other things to figure out. I've got one more engine to tear down. Well, we know what the problem is, but I want to get that apart and see what kind of carnage we can look at. I'm going to tear down this other engine, and then we've got a big parts list to set up and take pictures of. Next clip you'll see will be probably me tearing this down, but that might be this weekend. Crazy. Broken crank. I mean, it's a stock. Sort of makes sense, but they're usually pretty resilient. Next clip, hopefully I got this thing almost apart all the way. I think you're just supposed to rip apart this engine like I am. Oh no. Where's the spray bottle? Open that window. I got that on video. No screen for you, kitty. Just me, do I smell peanut butter? I do. It's this engine, because since I've been taking this thing apart, it smells like, I don't know what it is. Weird. Don't have a mic for this phone yet, but this is our last piston to take out. All the pistons look pretty good. Now we can split the case and take a look at the broken rod. So let me clean up a little bit and we'll get the case split. All right, let's split this thing. I'm ready to see this snapped crankshaft. The bearings actually don't look that horrible. My crank doesn't look that bad either. Ooh, that bearing's pretty toasted. Look at that. There's one half. There's the other half. There she is. Oh my word. That is crazy. I bet you this thing's toast, I bet. The bearings don't actually look awful. Except the one that was right where it broke. This one, that main right there, did not look good. There's the other half of it, but the rest of them actually look pretty good. When I say pretty good, compared to what I usually see, they look worn, but they're not. And here, we'll compare these. Let's look at that difference. This is out of my yellow car that broke a rod. This is out of this car. This one's a lot worse. This rod Still spins nice and freely. Snapped straight in half. Look at that. Like I said, this rod still spins totally fine, which is weird. I think that this block, unfortunately, is toast. You can see right there where normally the little groove on the bearing goes. It's kind of marred up there. You can see here, it's pushed down right there. And this case half as well. It's just got some damage right there. So I'm kind of thinking that this case half is no good. I'm gonna send some pictures to a buddy that does all his own machine work and builds his own engines and stuff. I'm gonna see what he says about it. If he thinks it's good, I might list it for sale because it could be a good case half with already closed deck for somebody. But if not, it's gonna be probably another decor piece, I guess. The broken crank is pretty cool. I think the rods and pistons though are gonna be just fine, and those are nice items. The pistons actually look pretty sweet. The rods should all be good. I don't feel any sort of knock on any of the rods. So I don't think this was a bearing failure. I think he probably got this thing way too hot and it locked up and snapped the crank or something, but I don't know. I'm not exactly an expert, but I'm gonna pull these rods off and I'm sure those will be fine. I found one more thing with this engine that I figured I'd show quick that explains all the coolant in the oil, or some of the coolant in the oil. Let me see if I can set this light up. If we look right here, we've got a cracked cylinder wall right there, which I think would cause the head gasket to, or coolant could leak in here, or it could cause the head gasket to fail. It does catch a little bit. So yeah, I think that's a cracked cylinder wall for sure. And I didn't see it on any other cylinders, but that block is junk. So that's gonna be another piece of decoration. I don't know if I wanna just take, I don't really need another whole shelf of this stuff, but I might take that crank off of there, maybe take that case half off of there, and then line these pistons up differently, and then I can put a closed deck one up there because I think that would be pretty cool. So, but yeah, this is gonna be the end of the teardown of the green STI hatch. As of right now, it's just sitting out there. We've got this one in the barn right now. Been having a lot of issues with Facebook taking down some of my posts, so I'm kind of sorting through that, but I'm not sure exactly what's next in terms of projects. I've got some random things that I probably won't record, but then we've got two cars we got potentially to part out. They're listed whole right now. And then we've got this one we can put an engine in, and then we've got the green hatch we can put an engine in, and that Outback out there. So we got lots of stuff to do yet. I just gotta decide what I'm gonna do next. So if you guys made it all the way through, I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be on to some more projects here soon. I hope you guys are getting your projects done, and I'll see you in the next video.